Hi, I'm Kyle, a product designer on the secure team on the SCA Software Composition Analysis group. I wanted to just walk through a latest iteration from this issue, which is about auto remediation, which we have an MVC in for that's more related to the security dashboard. This one's more geared towards the merge request experience. So the intended users being the developers versus the security team. And yeah, we'll go ahead and just walk through what the problem is. And I'll just jump over to a test project that we have in, and now we're looking at a merge request. So here we have some security reports, and I'm going to go ahead and expand those. And it's broken out by the different scanners, and the user would need to go and open these one by one and learn more about them this way by opening this modal. But there are cases in some of these findings where there are actually solutions available. Let's see if I can find one. Oh, well, this case actually has a solution, a recommendation to improve this vulnerability. But in some cases, there's actually also a patch that's available by way of the gymnasium database, I believe. But yeah, in this case, it's just showing an upgrade. But there's a few others in here, and we can click through to try to find them. But this is what is the issue, is that we're not clearly showing when these solutions are available. And these are solutions that could improve the security of this merge request. So we want to make this more clear to the user instead of relying and putting the burden on them to actually have to click through these and to do it themselves. A little bit more background is that we have an MVC out there to improve this merge request experience anyway by having it a little bit more focused, whereas we inform and then we have a new dedicated security tab section in the merge request where it's a little bit more geared towards the deep dive of looking at those in a more clear way instead of in the widget. So that would look a little bit like this. This is just a little bit outdated because the tabs are now moved up, but this still explains the general idea is that there's a sort of, the widget has an executive summary of the newly detected vulnerabilities, and when they click View Findings, it will open up the tab. So it's clear viewing of what vulnerabilities exist. And this is just building, and some of the solutions we'll look at is really just kind of building on this, but I would consider this the foundation of improving the merge request experience, whereas right now we're kind of throwing a lot of vulnerabilities at them. The experience of opening and closing these is not so great, nor is the visual cues that we're using, such as these icons and so on. Whereas the other one actually aligns it more, where the pipeline, the vulnerability list, the group security dashboard, it all looks and interacts in a familiar manner. Okay, so going back to the problem, there are solutions in the merge request that exist. Of course, just as a side note, this will apply to only newly introduced vulnerabilities that have been detected in that merge request, and when solution recommendations are available or patches are available, that's what we're hoping to surface and show to the user that they can improve the security by committing these upgrades or patches that we're suggesting, that they themselves introduced, instead of it being introduced and having to be dealt with down the road from the vulnerability list once it's already introduced into the system. This is a way of bringing awareness before it ever reaches the default branch. So we did some early iterations to kind of like tease this out and to get some feedback in. And the first review we did is with the SCA group, and the feedback there was that really the solutions that are available when it pertains to dependency scanning would need to be done in a separate merge request. But it's great that we show the download patches, if downloads are available locally or there's suggestions. But this feedback was based on the idea that perhaps you could commit the solutions directly into this merge request. But when it came to dependency scanning, that was the feedback we got. This is a bit different than container scanning, though, where it could actually be committed altogether right there in the merge request based on our current capability. That would be good. So there's a divergent UX right there. But overall, the minimum thing is just surfacing the solutions that are available, and if there are patches to download locally, that would be helpful. So we're in the third iteration and working in all that feedback and also feedback from the Secure and Defend UX team after that as well. One minimal solution that we could take a look at, and now this particular design is incorporating that MVC that we took a look at where the security tab that showed the vulnerability list, and the widget was now more of giving the summary of new vulnerabilities introduced. It's incorporating that has already been done. So in this case, it would have been a prerequisite for what we're looking at now. So here are the findings that we're reporting back in the merge request. And then in this row, we're saying, hey, there are solutions available to 3 vulnerabilities. Again, these are newly introduced vulnerabilities from the commits in this merge request. If the user was to expand that, it would call them out in that familiar pattern we saw. Again, this is trying to do the minimal change possible, just aggregating them together, utilizing the front-end UI that we have in the collapsible sections here, with the addition of specifying, hey, these are from dependency scanning or content scanning, using the headers to do that. If the user then clicked open to take a look more, they would either see that a solution is available there and they could download the patch available, or they could create a separate merge request or a separate issue to take a look at it further. Or if it's just a recommendation, they could, at least the recommendation has been surfaced to them. Those are the 2 different possibilities based on our current capability for dependency scanning. To continue to improve this or to show it in a slightly different way, it's the same as we saw here. They could expand the section that has vulnerabilities detected with solutions available, and we could have a subtext here that outlines what the recommendation is. And we also see here when there's an available patch to download locally, that is displayed here directly in the UI. So maybe without having to click back and forth, they could do that. But the question is would it be helpful to show it here? The UX thinking around that was that it's not showed explicitly here, so you are forcing the user to click into the modal, but at least they know it's in the section that there was some solution or downloads available. Now, there is another approach there that could be taken, and that is, and the upside of this is it kind of cleans up the merge requests even more without having those additional sections, and it's giving the user here scanning report. The 24 had the summary based on the MVC is showing the results 2 critical, 5 high, and then 3 solutions. And the button here changes from view findings, since there are solutions, to view available solutions, and that lands the user on the security page. There is another issue here that the secure UX team is taking a look at in the merge request, or I'm sorry, in the vulnerability list, surfacing when solutions are available and bringing that awareness to users. That same problem exists because maybe in the table a bunch of vulnerabilities are shown. There is an icon to distinguish it, but bringing it to the top and just saying, here's kind of, just so you know, there are 5 solutions that exist out there that you could act on now. So the point is that this page that has the familiar vulnerability list would align for consistency. So more to come on that, but that's how it would look in that case. If we were to take a look at incorporating this sort of aggregation of when solutions are available in our current UX and our current user interface, this is how that would or could look. So we see here security scanning detected. This is when you expand it, you see the familiar sectioned out results. We could also have either a separate section in there or a separate section here that just surfaces, hey, 3 solutions are available. The case for surfacing them right here is that these are actions that the developer can take right here to improve this security of this merge request. So that's the case of not hiding it in this expandable section. That's the idea, at least. And of course, this would be that familiar aggregate summary of what those solutions are. Okay, so that's kind of the rundown of the latest iteration. As always, please definitely feel free to reach out and with any thoughts or improvements that you could see here or clarifications, something that we may have not thought of that we should have been. And yeah, just drop us a note in the issue. Thanks for watching.